Ken wanted me to read this prayer, Lenten prayer, before we start the Stations of the Cross. And this prayer explains beautifully the meaning of fasting. Christians very often forget the need for fasting. In today's Gospel, Jesus explains when we should fast. One complaint about Jesus and his disciples was that they did not fast enough. And Jesus justified his disciples not fasting by saying, when the bridegroom is with them, they cannot fast. The moment the bridegroom is taken away, they will fast. Bridegroom stands for love. When love is there, you don't have to fast. The moment love disappears from our interaction with each other, that's the time we have to start fasting. The aim, fasting is not the end. It is a means to create the warmth of love in us. In Sanskrit language, the word for fasting is tapas, means whatever creates the warmth of love in you. At times, fasting creates not warmth of love, but irritation. Then we should not fast. With this, we have this prayer. O loving God, may I fast from judging others, feast on the Christ indwelling in them, fast from emphasis on differences, feast on the unity of all life, fast from apparent darkness, feast on the reality of light, fast from words that pollute, feast on phrases that purify, fast from discontent, feast on gratitude, fast from anger, feast on patience, fast from pessimism, feast on optimism, fast from worry, feast on trust, fast from complaining, feast on appreciation, fast from negatives, feast on affirmatives, fast from unrelenting pressures, feast on unceasing prayer, fast from hostility, feast on non-violence, fast from bitterness, feast on forgiveness, fast from self-concern, feast on compassion for others, fast from personal anxiety, feast on eternal truth, fast from discouragement, feast on hope, fast from facts that depress, feast on the truths that uplift, fast from lethargy, feast on enthusiasm, fast from suspicion, feast on truth, fast from thoughts that weaken, feast on promises that inspire, fast from idle gossip, feast on purposeful silence. Gentle God, during this season of fasting and feasting, gift us with your presence so we can be gift to others in carrying out your work. Amen.
Jesus is condemned to death. Jesus had nothing but love for people, yet he was condemned to die a brutal death. I condemned myself so much that I could see little or no good in myself, much less see the good in others. Today, Lord, help me look at each and every person, man, woman, or child, and see the beauty and goodness that you have given us. Teach me by this station to help build up each and every person I meet, rather than tear them apart by my malicious criticism and condemnation.
Jesus carries his cross. The weight of the cross shows heavily on the brow of the face of Jesus, yet he moves forward without a word of complaint. My crosses and trials in life never come close to those of Jesus, yet I complain and gripe constantly, hoping that pain and trials will escape my life. My pride is so great that the thought of the smallest suffering frightens me. Teach me, Jesus, by your example, how to carry my daily cross. Yes, my yoke is easy and my burden light.
Jesus falls the first time. Jesus is known by all for his strength and courage, yet he falls under the weight of the wooden cross. I fall many times daily, and the weight of my crosses are nothing compared to the cross of Jesus. Sometimes I fall because of weaknesses. Other times I fall because I lack incentive or the courage to keep trying. And again, there are times when I get so caught up in my own self-image that I just don't care and give up in discouragement. Lord, let me never become so discouraged that I give in to failure. Help me to know that to falter or to fall is not shameful. Help me to know my strengths through my weaknesses.
Jesus meets his Holy Mother. Mary's memory takes her back many years to her tiny child taking his first unsteady steps, wobbling and falling in Nazareth. She is there beside him, holding her breath, longing to put her hands out to steady him, to prevent a fall, but she lets him go alone, her little child, who must learn to walk on his own feet. Now as then she is silent. She holds back her hands as she did then. His will is her will. It was for this hour that she gave him to the world. So her son goes on to do his Father's will. What was the Father's will? The Father so loved the world that he gave up his only Son to save the world. Lord, with your grace and intercessions, help our country to explicate the death penalty in reverence to the life, and so that mothers of fugitives and innocents will not suffer as Mary did.
Simon of Cyrene helps Jesus carry his cross. Jesus accepts the help of a bystander to carry his cross. He can no longer carry the weight of the Roman cross alone. How many times have I said no to the care, love, and concern of my friends? How many times have I brusquely turned away from those who wanted to help me? Out of puffed up pride, I always wanted to do everything by myself and never accepted a helping hand. I remember so well those who wanted to help me, and I said no. Lord, teach me by this station that I always need help, the help of God and help of my fellow men and women.
Jesus meets Veronica. Veronica wipes the blood and sweat from the face of Jesus. A single gesture of love and concern. It meant so much to Jesus and to Veronica. I, being a self-centered person, fail many times to offer a helping hand, to say a word of comfort, or just give a simple encouragement to someone on the brink of despair. Those precious moments I let slip away from my life because of my selfishness. Oh God, I know you can remove all these shortcomings and defects of character from my life, just as Veronica wiped away the sweat and the blood from your brow. Wipe away my selfishness and lack of love for others.
Jesus falls a second time. Once again, Jesus stumbles and falls under the weight of the heavy cross. His body is covered with bruises, and he is blood-stained from head to foot. I fall daily. I lament and complain and ask why. Somehow I want to rest contentedly and confidently on honors already won, and suddenly, down I go. That's the story of my life. I say in my moments of complacency that I'm going to do this or that, and I do nothing instead. Teach me by these repeated falls to act and to do rather than to dream.
Jesus comforts the weeping women of Jerusalem. Jesus forgets for a moment his own pain, anguish, and weight of the cross, and comforts the women who follow him. And I, a person so quick to criticize and so slow to compliment, seldom give my time, comfort, or console anyone in need. Help me to love my neighbor as myself. Let me never think of myself as being better than or more noble than those around me. Teach me by your example to help and comfort the people I meet in life's journey. It is only when I freely love others that I receive love in return.
Jesus falls a third time. Jesus, completely overcome by physical weakness, slumps under the cross for the final time. I've slipped, I've stumbled, I've fallen many times in life. Each time I looked at myself as being a no good, worthless wretch. My self-image was getting worse with each slip in life. It was only when I learned to live one day at a time and not to look to my past or worry about all the tomorrows that I could live in the here and now. Just as God made all the creatures and things in this world for a purpose, I began to see a purpose and meaning in my life. Teach me not to condemn myself so much that I give up in despair.
Jesus is stripped of his clothing. Jesus, too weak to walk and nearing his final moment, is stripped of his clothing, a savage effort by the soldiers to humiliate Jesus. Somehow, I have yearned to be something great in this life, always seeking goals that were beyond me or not good for me. I was never content with being the simple, run-of-the-mill person God made me. I always searched for happiness and treasures at the end of the rainbow, and instead, my life has been a broken dream. I ask you, Lord, for the gift of humility. Teach me never to yearn for the great and noble things of life, but may the little acts of kindness and love in my life be with me.
Jesus is nailed to the cross. Jesus, too weak to carry the cross any farther, is nailed to the cross. Arms and hands that were always extended in love are now extended and fastened to the wood of the cross. It almost frightens me when I think of the many times I've stretched out my hands and arms to take anything I could get. Seldom did I extend myself to those in need of a little love and concern. The words, "I want this," or "give me that," became the broken record of my life. Oh God, I beg you for the gift of generosity. Never permit me to put limits on what I do for others. Teach me to do unto others as I would have them do unto me.
Jesus dies on the cross. Jesus utters a loud cry, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Then he bows his head and dies. Jesus gave his whole life and died that we might live. He endured pain and suffering without complaint. He left beneath the cross his mother, mourning the death of his son. Lord, help me to die to my old ways of living. Help me to die to a life filled with selfishness, pride, anger, and self-hatred. Replace these with charity, faith, love, and courage. Leader, grant me the courage not to give up on what I think and know is right, even though I might feel it to be hopeless.
Jesus is taken down from the cross. It was only after the death of Jesus that he was recognized as the Son of God. His peaceful resignation and acceptance of suffering and death was proof to the centurion that he was God's Son. Grant me acceptance and resignation. Help me to accept each day as it comes. Teach me not to complain when each day and everything it holds is not perfect. After all, I was never promised that each and every day would be a rose in the garden of life. Let me never greet another day with these words, "Oh God, another day." But let me say instead, "Thank God, it's another day."
Jesus is laid in the tomb. Jesus lived so humbly and so simply that he had no place to be buried. They laid him in the burial place of a stranger. As the soldiers closed the door to the tomb of Jesus, a new chapter of the person and life of Jesus opened. I know that if I turn my life and my will over to the care of God, I can be transformed into a new person. My hatred can be turned into love and kindness. My sadness turned into joy, and where there is despair, I can find hope. My weaknesses can be turned into strength. Lord, Teach me by your tremendous courage to face everything in life, even death itself, and never to fear. Help me never to fear anything but fear itself.
Dear God, as I follow and study your life from the time of your condemnation until your crucifixion and death, it is also a time to review my own life and to ask for help in those areas where I have not done well. When I find areas where I need help, let me not become discouraged or give in to despair, but rather turn to you as a child to a parent and humbly ask for your divine help and guidance. Help me to live one day at a time and never relive the past or worry about the future. Help me to accept each day as it comes and to live it the way that you and I know best. Never let me say, if I had the chance to live it over, I would do this or that. Knowing myself, and if I had the chance, I would probably make the same mistake again. Help me to live each moment to the fullest, and in the newness of each moment, give me comfort of soul and peace of mind. Amen. I want to take a moment just to say something about an organization known as NOAH. It stands for Nashville Organized for Action and Hope. And it's an effort to bring people across the community, different congregations, labor unions, organizations working for justice, to come together to help make Nashville a greater and better city, particularly for its sense of the common good and for its sense that there are many people that don't get invited to the decision-making table, but are affected by the decisions that others are making for them. And so NOAH is an effort to bring people who care about justice in our city, who care about equity, and who care about the common good, to work with public officials, to challenge public officials to make Nashville a better place.